Going to go ahead and start recording, and then I'm going to hit and do my Facebook Live as well. And we'll do it together, and then we'll go ahead and start with any Q&A that you have. Hey, everybody. Rob Kosberg here with Bestseller Publishing. Got some cool things for you to discuss today. We have our BSP University call that is starting now, and it's right here on my computer while I also do a Facebook Live. I always do a Facebook Live for the first 10 minutes or so, share some of our case studies and successes and some of the things that we're doing. And then afterwards, I shut off Facebook and I go to BSP University and I answer their questions in real time, and it's kind of a live coaching thing. So here's the deal. I am speaking at a local business conference here in Pasadena on Thursday, and I have about 45 minutes. And over the last couple of days, I've been thinking, okay, what exactly do I want to share? What exactly do I want to speak on? Because I want to cultivate interest. I don't have an opportunity to make an offer at this, and this isn't a speaking engagement specifically for people that want to be authors. This is a small business owners gathering, about 150 or so people, and they're interested in learning marketing techniques, how they can grow their business, etc. And I've got to find a way to make the connection. I've got to make the connection between how a best-selling book, what I do, can actually help them to grow their business, which is the thing that they want. Now, besides that, I have 45 minutes to do that, right? So I have to cultivate interest. I have to cultivate desire. And I have to do it in 45 minutes to get people that may not have thought that they're interested in writing a book, interested in how a book can actually help them grow their business. Now, besides that, I'm also always advertising on Facebook, and we're starting to do some YouTube stuff. And with YouTube, I have a similar issue. We can't target based on people that are saying, hey, I want a book, Rob. I want to write a book, and you're the guy that will help me to write a book, and you're the guy that will help me launch my book, and you'll get me on TV. So we're targeting people that are coaches, consultants, brick and mortar business owners, speakers, that kind of thing. And we want to share with them and help make this connection. Now, this is, I'm trying to give you some insight into my thinking, because this is the exact same thing that you need to do with your business. You want to not just approach the people that are already raising their hands, that were referred to you or via word of mouth found you. You want to approach and help the people to put the pieces together where they see that the problems that they currently have in their business or their life can be solved by the things that you do or that you teach. And that may be a revelation for them. And sometimes you only have a few seconds to initially grab their interest, like on YouTube or Facebook, or like with this speaking engagement, I have 45 minutes to take them from, I didn't even think I wanted to write a book, I didn't even think I needed to get on TV, to, hey, I really want I want to work with you, I want to learn more about you. So I've been writing some things down, taking some notes and thinking through. And so I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it could help you as well. So the first thing you have to think about is, okay, what do I know about these people that are going to be at this conference, or the people that I'm advertising to on Facebook, YouTube, et cetera, and what is it that they really want? So I think first about my ideal client, right? My ideal client is a brick and mortar business owner, an expert, a consultant, a coach. It could be a financial advisor, an attorney, a doctor, a dentist, et cetera, or somebody that is in the fitness space or self-help space, et cetera. But primarily, somebody that is interested in growing their business, growing their authority, and attracting clients. Now, what do I know about them? Here's what I know. The vast majority of business owners are absolutely stuck on this roller coaster of income. They have good income one month because, the phone rings a lot, right? And they're getting some referrals here and there through their word of mouth marketing. And because of that, they have a decent month. But guess what? The next month, because they didn't really do any marketing, because they have no real credibility or authority in their space, no one is seeking them out. And if they don't get referrals or they don't do networking or whatever, then the roller coaster is on the downward slide, and now they're hunting for clients and they're starving. So what I know about even the best experts in all of the fields that I mentioned, from coaches and consultants to, financial advisors and all kinds of brick and mortar business owners and experts, is that the vast majority of them are on this roller coaster. The other thing that I know about them is that for the most part, they're not considered like the true experts and really well known in their industry, except to a tiny, tiny sliver of people that have been referred to them or that know them personally through networking, et cetera. So here are the big problems, right, that these people have and that maybe you have in your business. And so I now need to make a connection from those issues, those problems that they have, to the solutions that I could potentially offer. In other words, how can they go from this constant hunt for clients and this constant roller coaster of income to being a well-known, credible authority, getting speaking engagements, people interested in calling you on a regular basis, maybe making application to work with you every single day? How can they go to that? Well, what I teach people is that they go to that by using their own best-selling book. How do I do that? By just telling them that? Of course not. I want to give them real-world examples of other people that did it. And not just people that I helped, but people that they already aspire to be like in their own industry. So, as an example, if you're, let's say, a coach or a consultant, and you want to be at the very, very, very top of your industry, you're aspiring to that. Look, if you're not, then, fine. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to spend money. You're not going to spend your time and resources to improve. So that's not your client. That's not my client. But for the person that wants to improve, wants to grow, wants to become the hunted, that's somebody that is already looking to the people that are at the top of their industry. And I want to basically say to those people, well, guess what? You can follow the same steps that those people did at the top of your industry and be at the top of your industry as well. So one of the things I do, I have this email autoresponder sequence. And one of the emails that I send out is from a friend of mine, someone that you may know in the consulting space. His name is Perry Marshall. He wrote his very first book, which put him on the map. He went from completely unknown to kind of the foremost expert on Google advertising. He wrote the definitive book on Google advertising. And here's an email that he actually sent me, and I forwarded on to everybody that joins my list. He says, when I started in business, in consulting, my fees were very small. Today, my hourly consulting fee is 500% higher than when I got started. What changed? This is Perry writing now, not me. This is Perry. People know Perry in the consultant space, right? What changed? I wrote a book, a real three-dimensional bookstore book. Here's why writing a book, when published and promoted properly, can 5x your business this year. Now, Perry doesn't even sell how to do this. He doesn't sell book services. So how much more beneficial for me that I'm using the words of a well-known consultant and expert to basically say what I would love to say for him. You need to have a book. If you want to 5x your income, you need a book. And here is the guy that did it and that is at the top of his space, and he is doing it. The cooler thing that I share with people is that we actually have helped Perry with his latest book called Evolution 2.0. We've gotten Perry publicity. He's a friend of mine. I'm actually in his 30-day reboot thing, which is really cool. And he's now doing a new thing with Evolution 2.0, which we're helping him with. So that furthers my credibility with that potential client of mine that's in the consultant space. But he goes on and he talks about the reasons why a book can 5x your business this year. He talks about book buyers are the highest quality leads you can get. At my highest level consulting program, the ones that I charge $10,000 or more for, there are always 2 or 3 clients whose first contact with me was buying my book. In the consulting business, he who has the biggest pile of proof wins. And he goes on with all of these things. So what did I do? And by the way, I'm not just going to give one proof, right? I'm going to talk about Tim Ferriss, who was completely unknown until he wrote The 4-Hour Workweek. I'm going to talk about Dave Ramsey, who was selling his books out of the trunk of his car until, his book exploded and made him the foremost expert in the world and a complete self-made millionaire because of his book. I'm going to talk about John Maxwell, who was a country preacher. I'm going to talk about Robert Kiyosaki, who no one heard of until Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and became one of the most foremost experts on real estate investment. I'm going to talk about Michael Gerber, the E-Myth, Zig Ziglar, Jack Canfield, who was rejected by 200 publishers before he got Chicken Soup for Your Soul published. The point that I'm making is that I am going to use other people's proof, right? Along with even some of my own, because I work personally with many of these people and can show that not only is the idea sound, because the people at the very top of your industry that you want to be at, those people did this. They used a book, and they even espouse the importance of using a book, though they themselves don't sell it. In other words, they have no ulterior motives to share that you should write a book. Then what do? Well, I make the connection that, you know what, I've helped some of these people and I can help you. So what have I done? In 45 minutes or so, my hope is that, and I'm obviously going to teach, but what I'm trying ideally to get into people's heads is, if you have been on this roller coaster of income and roller coaster of, networking groups and things where, you're kissing babies and shaking hands and, desperately chasing the next client, that there is a way for you to get out of that and instead have clients hunting for you. And guess what? It is the exact way that those at the very top of your industry used to get to the top. At one time, they were exactly where you are. They were completely unknown. So I want to help them make that connection, and then make the connection to, hey, look, some of those people use me. We've done over, 300 plus books, et cetera, et cetera. And if this is something that we can help them with and it's a fit, then fantastic. Now, I share all of this so that you have some understanding and knowledge in how I am addressing people in my marketplace with the things that I sell, with the things that I do. What's important for you to get out of this is that right now you have ideal customers. And those ideal clients and customers, whether it's in a speaking engagement where you're in front of a crowd, or if you're going to do advertising on Facebook or YouTube or something like that, you only have, in some cases, seconds, in other cases, like a speaking engagement, minutes, to help them to get to the point of, why am I listening to you, to, oh, I have these problems, and there is a solution to these problems. And ultimately, at the end, the solution becomes you and what you're doing. I'm giving you some insight into how it is that I'm going to do that in my speaking engagement, how I do that in my YouTube videos, and how I do that in my Facebook ads as well. Obviously, for me and for my clients, the people that aspire to the top, they understand, writing a book, writing a best-selling book. You can see I go through this one a lot. This is Perry's 80-20 sales and marketing. Awesome. For my ideal clients that want to be at the precipice, that want to be at the zenith, that aspire to be like, well-known, like a Susie Orman in financial market, or like, a Perry Marshall in coaching consulting, or a Russell Brunson in software and coaching, et cetera. Those people followed a pattern that my clients can follow as well. And I want them to make that connection that, hey, we may not be a fit to work together, but whether we are or whether we're not, the truth is still the truth. And the truth is, these people solve their problem of this roller coaster income by writing a book, becoming a bestseller, and then using that book to catapult and explode their authority, credibility, celebrity, and business. On a smaller scale, I did the exact same thing with Life After Debt. You guys know the story. After, a tremendous business failure in real estate, a company that was doing $100 million a year in transactions went to zero within 12 months during the real estate crisis. I wrote this book, a small book in a brand new industry for me in the financial space. And because of that, in 2008, 2009, and following, that business went from zero to over $1 million in income in the very first year, and then multi-millions. It got me radio, it got me TV, it got me speaking engagements. All I did was follow the pattern of those that came before me. And particularly, the pattern that I followed in the financial services arena was Dave Ramsey. I wrote a book similar to what Dave wrote from my own take, and with some changes. And then I went to radio exactly like Dave did. And guess what? It worked for me. It worked for Dave. And that kind of thing will work for you as well. Hey, I hope this is helpful to you. Leave me a comment. Ask me any questions that you like. We're going to go off Facebook now. And I want to go to my folks at BSP University on this call, answer any questions that they have, and chat with them. If you're interested in learning more about how a book can help you to be successful, hey, reach out to us. You can call us in our Pasadena office. You can leave a comment on this thread, whatever. But we'd love to help you if we possibly can. And that's all for today. So hopefully this is helpful. By the way, if you're in Pasadena, I think I have like 1 seat left for my table at our event. It's going to be like 150 or so business owners. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much, guys. You're awesome. And I'll talk to you next week. BSP University, don't leave. That was just the ending for my Facebook chat. So let me go ahead and make that. Go ahead and take care of that post. And hopefully I'll get some good interaction from that and potential new clients. So what questions do you have for me, BSP University? How can I help you guys to experience these kinds of successes and results for you in your business? Did you get that? Did you like totally understand where I was going? I mean, obviously, you know, I tried to give you, you know, my mental gyrations in getting prepared for this speaking engagement and also getting prepared for some of the videos that I'm going to create for my YouTube ads. So what you need to do, of course, is you need to reverse engineer that for yourself, thinking about who it is that you serve, what their problems are, what their challenges. And again, the problems and challenges that I see for my ideal client is that whole roller coaster of income, not being the well-known and well thought of, you know, kind of credible expert in the industry, and having a tool that constantly attracts clients to you. That, of course, is how I gave the examples of people that did it and came before me and that came before you that you probably aspire to, just like I aspire to those folks. So fantastic. Let's see what you got and what questions you have. So Wendy says, yes, helpful. Joyce says, excellent concept, Rob. Fantastic. Jean says, that was great, Rob. And yes, that is me, the roller coaster guy. I hear you. John says, loved it. You have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it shows. Thanks, John. I really do. Wendy says, you were evangelical. That's awesome. Well, I have passion for all kinds of things, but yes, I mean, look, it worked for me. It really did. Like this thing, sometimes I read through this and I shudder a little. The way I haven't even changed it. The formatting it's like 9 years old. It's like all this, you know, but it worked. It worked. It worked to the tune of, you know, millions of dollars in income, and it can for you as well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the steps need to be like practiced and followed. But you do need to think through these things. You have to think through these things about like, who is your ideal client? We talk about this a lot. If we help you to create your book, then as you know, we spend the first, sometimes as long as a month, really figuring out what are the fears, frustrations, wants, aspirations, what are the pains that your ideal client's going through. And we want that to be communicated in the title of your book and the subtitle and all that kind of thing. But this is something you have to think about on an ongoing basis, because, you know, when your book gets you a speaking engagement, if that's something that you want, like my speaking engagement on Thursday, you know, this is a little bit of a different crowd. This crowd isn't there to hear me speak about books, right? Maybe a few people are because it was promoted with, you know, the speakers that are there, me being one of them. But probably most people aren't. Most people aren't thinking about writing a book. So, you know, I have to, if I don't want just the really low-hanging fruit, right, the people that know a book is for them and been wanting to write a book for years and years and years, and of course I want the low-hanging fruit, but I also want to cultivate desire within them, right? I want to help them to see, hey, this is an answer for you. And instead of you chasing the next shiny object, sending out postcards or doing a new Facebook ad or something like that, you need like a foundational piece to your business. I know you guys get that, but the people that I'm going to be speaking to at this event probably don't. So I need to make that connection in their minds and help them. When you get a speaking engagement, or as you advertise and do various things with your book, you're going to have to do that same thing. You're going to have to make the connection from their pain and challenges and difficulties to your answers and solutions, and then ultimately to you as the provider of those solutions. So let's see. Gene has a question. Here's my question for the day. I am on track to finish my manuscript by the end of July. Awesome. Congratulations, Gene. While writing, I went through some rough patches. It healed me more. I almost want to add a chapter to the process in my book, Thrive, Not Survive, you know, after abuse and violence. Can you share some similar experiences? Well, I can. I didn't add to my book as I went through it, but as I wrote this, and many of you guys know my story. I lived this as I was writing this book. I mean, I went from a very successful multi-million-dollar business to zero, and my real estate, which I was millions of dollars in the black and in equity, all of a sudden we're upside down. And so literally, almost seemingly looking back, almost overnight this took place. I mean, it took place in a matter of months. And it was painful. It was scary. There I was in my early 40s having to reinvent myself. And, wondering, am I ever going to be able to replicate the kind of success that I had before? And I have my wife of, now we've been married 28 years, at that time, 18 or so years, and my 3 children, counting on me. It was scary and difficult. I had many sleepless nights and challenging moments and bad thoughts. And so I shared those things within my book, and as much as I could be, probably when you're through it, it's a little different, but during that time, I tried to be really vulnerable with people and let people know that this is something that I experienced firsthand. And I think that created some trust. It was the truth. And if I found a way out of it for myself and my family, then maybe I could help them find a way out of it for themselves and their family too. So I guess that's what I would say, Gene. But remember, all of that was very specific to the solutions that I was offering. You know what I mean? It wasn't a tangent. So you want to make sure that you keep people on one track. You can always write a second book, and you can always teach people various things, but you don't want to take people radically off track from the book. So mine, of course, was not. It was right, on that track. So hopefully that makes sense, and that helps you. Sloan says, I'm new to the group and I'm still listening to the modules, but everything I hear is for people writing self-help or those types of books. I'm a paranormal romance writer. I don't hear anything geared towards fiction writers. Can this stuff help me? So it can help you, but it can help you in various ways. So you have to think about, okay, well, what do I really want to accomplish? If what I really want to accomplish is I want, lots of my books to be sold, then there's multiple things you have to do. On this call, you're not hearing that, right? You're hearing something that's more akin to, people that are coaches, consultants, experts, etc. In your case, if you want to sell lots of books, then you need to do a couple things. In some ways, yours, Sloan, is a lot simpler. You're not probably going to get speaking engagements as a paranormal romance writer, right? And you probably don't want them. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. And you're probably not going to, focus a great deal on that aspect of it. However, you do want books to sell. And so how do you get a lot of books sold? Well, there's 2 ways. Number one, you need to have more than one book. You need to have multiple volumes of your books and editions of your books. The best fiction writers and those writing, whether it be romance or sci-fi or paranormal or whatever, they have volumes of content, not just one. So that's number one. And number two is you have to build your list. So as you go through the modules, you'll see several things that, again, you have to adapt what's being taught to yourself. So you have an ideal client, right? Your ideal client is your ideal reader, right? So you need to think, what is that person thinking? What is that person feeling? What am I trying to communicate to that person? How am I going to hook them, get them interested, etc.? You still have a client that you need to hook, and many, many more clients that you need to hook. So you have to really think and try to get in their head to do it. The other thing is that everything that we teach in the modules on launching your book, promoting your book via press releases, paid advertising, social media, all that's going to be applicable to you as well. So you certainly want to stay on top of that stuff. And yeah, you say, I don't want speaking engagements. Yeah, of course not. You have the ebook, print, audio books, 5 published books. Good. So you want to keep going. You want to keep, creating. And you also want to start building your list. So, in various different trainings, and in fact, I may want to do this next week, which that may be more helpful to you as well, Sloan, and helpful to everybody here, is to talk about, building your audience, building your list, your email list, because that's something that you need to do. Every time, if you build a list of people that are buying book 3 or book 4 or whatever, then guess what? What's going to happen is if they enjoy book 4, they're going to want to buy books 1, 2, 3, and 5. And so you're going to want to be promoting these things via your email list. So you want to build your audience organically and have people come to you via your website, et cetera, so that you can market to those people with email marketing. So probably next week, and I just made a note here to myself, that I'll spend some time talking about email marketing and building your list and how that could work for both fiction as well as nonfiction authors. But again, everything that we teach as far as marketing your book and all that is going to completely apply. You just have to adapt the stuff that we talk about with nonfiction to your fiction audience. And it works the same way because you have a client that you're trying to reach also. Gwendolyn says, can we have a copy of the last week's show? Yes, Gwendolyn, absolutely. It should be on, in the membership area. So yeah, whatever you need there is in the membership area. I'm not sure what package you're talking about, but happy to help with that or answer any questions. But yeah, if it isn't posted yet, then I'll double check with Steve. But every week, these are being recorded. Last week's was recorded. And then it is posted in the BSP University, the bestseller publishing membership area. So, and you should have all of the, all of the logins and everything to that. If not, go ahead and shoot me an email. Shoot me an email to rob@bestsellerpublishing.org, and we'll get you set up with that. Wendy says, awesome subject, Gene. Let's see. Sloan says, well, I've tried many things, listened to numerous workshops, webinars. Nick Stevenson, Mark Dawson tried many, many things already. That's why your webinar drew me, because I thought it'd be different and maybe more useful to me. Well, there's a lot of, those guys are good guys and they teach a lot of good things. There isn't one right way to do this. There's just like going down the path and using the tools that work. So, what works is putting your content in front of your ideal audience and making sure that your cover design, your title, and the content of your books are real high quality, When you put something that has a great hook for your ideal audience in front of your ideal audience via paid advertising, social media, et cetera, then they can't resist. They're going to want it. And obviously my training, that's what you're going to learn in certainly the launch modules, et cetera. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you. And as you go through that, jump back on and ask any questions about those specific things. Like if you go through something and say, well, I don't totally understand it. And okay, no problem. John says, in your experience, are authors prepared to capitalize on the radio, TV interview coverage when it comes? My concern is not being prepared for it and wasting the opportunity. Also, how common is it to have to travel for these opportunities versus them being via video conference or by phone? So John, great question. So I'll answer the second question first. So I tell all of our authors that, you need to be prepared to travel for TV. All the other stuff, radio, podcast, blogs, print, you can do from your office. But when it comes to TV, you absolutely have to be prepared to travel. And that's something that is important. Yes, as far as, the first question, you do need to be prepared to capitalize on your TV, especially. Here's though the thing that I want you to understand about TV. I've done, a bunch of TV. My last TV appearance was a few months ago on CBS in San Francisco. I've appeared in front of really big markets. San Francisco is the number 6 market in the United States. I have only ever had one person out of all the TV appearances I've done contact me for the things that I was talking about with bestseller publishing. So you may say if only one person has ever done that, Rob, and I've traveled to Wichita, Kansas, and Austin, Texas, and you name it, right? Why do it if only one person has ever contacted me? So here's what you have to understand. When it comes to TV, the reason that you want to do TV, irregardless of what your topic is not so much because the people watching TV at that very moment want to become your clients and go after you, but you want to be able to use those TV appearances as credibility and proof of your authority on an ongoing basis. So in one sense with TV, you never have to worry about being prepared for the opportunity because you want to use those TV appearances on a regular basis. Example, when it came to my last TV appearance in San Francisco, not a single person from watching that San Francisco TV show, like live on TV or the recorded episode on TV, ever contacted me. However, I repurposed that radio interview and used it in my Facebook, like all my social media organically and with some advertising stuff. And I got 3 clients from my last TV appearance on Facebook, on CBS San Francisco, by using that video on Facebook. 3 clients. Now, 3 clients, I don't remember if they were full done-for-you clients or what, but on the low side, that's going to be $14,000 to $25,000. So was it worth it for me to travel to San Francisco and do it? 100%. Here's the cool thing. I'm not done using it. I'm going to keep using that appearance. So when it comes to TV, I don't know specifically what your offer is, but when it comes to TV, you're going to use it on an ongoing basis. Now, with that said, you still want to have your websites and all of that stuff like in place. You want to drive people from the TV appearance, especially if your offer is a mass market offer like financial services or weight loss or whatever. My client, Kaylin Toole, Kaylin's book is, so you guys can see it. Kaylin's book, I don't know if you can see it, but it's in the background there. I have a TV setup. I'm going to be doing like some of my webinars live with the slides right on TV, and Kaylin's and Kevin Harrington's and Taki Moore's. I'm going to talk about those books. Anyway, she has a mass market appeal because it's on weight loss. And so she is, driving people from the TV appearances back to a specific website and offering some type of giveaway. So all those things are really important and you should have them in place, but just understand that you're going to be using, especially TV and your other media, on an ongoing basis. Just last thing, and I know there's some other questions, but I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys really quick. Again, just so you know how we use it. So as an example, here's our BSP media page. And this is outdated because we have so many, client media opportunities that we're doing. But this is what I direct people to when they ask questions about our success via booking people on media. What's the first thing you see? These are all my media appearances, right? These are media appearances of me on various TV, and I don't even have my last few ones. Like I don't have the San Francisco episode up, and here are a bunch of other ones. So we use these media appearances to show our authority in the space. The other thing that we do is we use them on Facebook too. And so like using this as an example, we post, when we do TV for you, we post your stuff on our page to our followers to both promote you and to promote us. So this is Rich Perry and Lawrence Pipkin's recent interview in Washington, D.C. I think this was just posted an hour ago. They're on their media tour right now. This is Linda Libertor's Kansas City appearance. There's Lawrence Pipkin and Rich again. This is Rich and Lawrence on another TV station, Fox Baltimore. You get the idea. This is Kaylin Toole on Virginia This Morning on CBS. So we use these on a regular and continual basis to promote our clients. You'll want to do the exact same thing for yourself as well. So hopefully that makes sense. And I'll move on to answer other questions. So Sloan says, I figure I'm not getting in front of the right audiences then. Well, and that's some research that you're going to have to do, Sloan, to figure out who is the right audience that I need to get in front of, which it shouldn't be that complicated, right? I mean, if your genre is paranormal romance, there's no question. There are blogs, there are websites that have hundreds of thousands, I'm sure, maybe even millions of followers that focus on paranormal or romance or paranormal romance, you need to do some research on what are those websites, what are those, those blogs, etc. And you need to start looking into, how you can advertise on those types of sites. Brenda says, Rob, I don't know if you asked something else, Brenda, but I only see Rob. Hi, how are you, Brenda? Wendy says, why not a book on how to write fiction, Sloan? You could certainly do that. There are great books on how to write fiction. Not to radically change and transfer, what your passion is, because you could certainly do well with what you're currently doing. But Wendy gave you, I think, a great, idea. Joey says, I'm going to jump into making some calls to radio and magazines today using your Excel resources sheet and booking script, a great resource from BSB. Thanks, Joyce. It is a great resource. Let me just say, a lot of people don't get like how big a deal that is. We spend $5,000 a year with Cision to have access on an ongoing basis to, all the, producers' name and contact information, et cetera. And then we print out the top, I think it's 100 TV stations in the top 1,000 media markets. If you wanted to buy that list, you'd have to spend $1,000 or more just to buy that list, if you could find it for sale. So it is a great resource, Joyce. Thanks for mentioning that. And good luck with that. Let us know how it goes next week. And by the way, the first time I did this, it just takes good elbow grease. So don't be discouraged if you make 10 phone calls and don't reach anybody. You just have to bear down and get ready to do it, and it will work for you. Sloan says, good idea, Wendy. However, my problem is not lack of time. I'm barely getting one book written per year or 2 years. Oh, my problem is lack of time. I still work full-time, take care of a family. So time is my enemy, and oddly enough, I write about time travelers. That's funny. That's funny, Sloan. Good. Sorry, all my lunch hour's over. I have to go back. I'll be back next week. Thanks, Rob, for your comments. Looking forward to continue. Sounds good, Sloan. Great to have you here. Brenda says, can you speak to insights, updates on the audiobook conversion? I can't speak to updates on it, but I will do this. I will find out on our updates because Randy and Sydney were looking into that. And I will find out about details on that, and I will make those details available to everybody, and you especially, Brenda, in our group. So awesome. Linda says, I'm writing an educational memoir. I have overcome child abuse, growing up in an alcoholic home, alcoholism myself, married a sociopath, domestic violence. Wow, terrible, terrible stuff, Linda. But you overcame it. Congratulations. Overcome mental health issues, want to write my story, but educate my readers how I overcame everything. My speaking engagements would be national domestic violence organizations, et cetera. In other words, nonprofits who don't pay much for speakers. Is that my target audience for speaking? P.S. I've already been on national radio 5 times. Congratulations on the national radio. So how do I say this? Okay, I'll just say it. So Linda, I would personally not make my target audience people that don't have money, right? Now, listen, nonprofits have money. Most nonprofits don't have money, okay? But plenty of nonprofits have a lot of money. So what should you do? You should target those that can afford to pay you what you're worth. I want to help everybody, and that's why I have free training and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is, my clients, the people that I'm serving, people like you, are people that can afford to pay me because, I need to be able to, work with people that can support the organization that we have here and all the families that BSP supports, as well as me and my family. And so the same is true with you. But don't think that nonprofits don't have money. It's just many don't. And you can't target the ones that don't. What you'll need to do is target the ones that do. The other thing that I'd say is, again, congratulations on the national radio. I would make it a consistent part of your marketing process to be on radio, to try to get on television, to get on blogs, podcasts, etc., just like my publicists do for our clients and they do for me. Why? Because you need to stay in the public eye, and you also need to take those appearances, drive them back to something that, especially with your offer, because so many people have suffered from abusive families or domestic violence or that kind of thing. And so they need your help, free help, but also plenty of people need your paid help, right? That can afford it. So you need to, continue doing PR, continue doing media, and then take those people when you do the radio and drive them back to your website, drive them back to your various offers. So that's something you definitely want to do on a continual basis. So again, congratulations for the success that you've already had in overcoming all of these challenges, certainly, but also being on national radio, et cetera. Just make sure that you keep doing that. You can't just, you just don't want to be on radio or TV or whatever, once. You'll want to keep using that content, just like I showed you. We use ours on social media and also on a regular basis. We are continually, my publicists are continually promoting me and the things that we do at BSP, which you don't have to travel for, especially with radio. But every now and again, I do travel for TV and that kind of thing. So anyway, great stuff. Really good questions. Super engaging day today. I hope this was really helpful. If you have any questions about anything, you can obviously always call in and speak to either Bob or David, our author development coaches. If you want to talk about upgrading in any way, or doing, maybe you're stuck in something and you want our help in doing some of those things, then find out how we can potentially help you and get you unstuck. That's certainly our desire to do that. I don't see any other questions, and we've been going a good long time. I am going to sign off. I will get this video posted again in the BSP membership area, and make sure that last week's was posted as well. So you guys are awesome. Thanks again for everything, and I hope today was really, really helpful for you. Have a great day.